Dive into the chilling unknown with the terrifying last moments inside the Titan submarine. Uncover the mystery of June 18, 2023, as the U.S. Navy races against time in a relentless pursuit of answers. Join us on a gripping journey from eerie underwater noises to the haunting recovery of debris. The ocean's secrets are vast, and the Titan's final moments remain an enigma. Prepare for spine-chilling revelations in this deep-sea thriller. Was it a big blast that his people desperately needed, or was it a quiet wave that the sonar picked up? The catastrophe of June 18, 2023 will live on in history and people's memories for a very long time. Meanwhile, a significant amount of material supplied by the U.S. Navy has now been discovered by investigators who are devoting their all to determining the precise fate of the Titan's submersible. What precisely was heard by the U.S. Navy in the last seconds of the Titan submarine? Authorities have only produced hazy hypotheses and conjectures thus far in the probe. However, with this new knowledge, we might be getting closer to solving the enigma surrounding this terrible occurrence. From the strange noises detected on the submersible to the eventual recovery of the debris, the U.S. Navy discovered the Titan's submersible implosion right away. This is hardly surprising considering the Navy's wide impact and reach outside of the water. Pursuing a variety of objectives, including combat activities, providing humanitarian aid, and even ocean exploration, the Navy is vital to the country's defense because it uses cutting-edge technology to react quickly to threats. Owing to their intensive ocean monitoring, they frequently anticipate before deploying. A few hours after the Titan submarine vanished, an enigmatic implosion was detected by a top-secret Navy acoustic detection device, which significantly altered the course of the search for the missing object. Because the Titans were first unable to corroborate the sound, the search area had to be narrowed before the wreckage was eventually located. The acoustic data indicated an implosion close to the Titan's last known location, according to the first senior naval officer informed about the boom. On board the ship MV Polar Prince, an adventurous party of daring explorers set out on a bold mission to locate the Titanic wreck in June 2023. As they approached the dive site, which was around 375 nautical miles off the coast of Newfoundland, the team was excited, anxious to uncover mysteries from the renowned shipwreck that is submerged 12,500 feet below the surface. It is important to remember that the trip was originally scheduled to leave in May, but it was postponed because of the worst winter Newfoundland has seen in 40 years. Despite this, the crew understood they had a limited window of opportunity to try diving this year when they finally arrived at the wreck site on June 17th after facing the persistent bad weather. Despite this, the last preparations for the historic mission started the following morning. On June 18 at around 4 in the morning, the submarine Titan sucked the pilot and 4 other passengers into its little space, left behind the polar imprints on the water's surface, and began its plunge into the icy depths of the North Atlantic. At first, everything went according to plan. Every 15 minutes, as scheduled, the Titan reliably checked in with the Polar Prince and sent brief digital signals, guaranteeing that its gradual development was tracked and that any irregularities would be quickly fixed. This communication system served to guarantee passenger protection and the accomplishment of the mission, but it was only one of many safety precautions. But grave questions had already been raised concerning the ship's safety. David Lockridge, the former head of marine operations at OceanGate, was fired in 2018 for allegedly drawing attention to defects in the carbon fiber hull and other stated problems. Leaders in the industry had also written to OceanGate, alerting them to the disastrous hazards associated with the submarine's development. However, the business maintained its confidence when, some 2 hours into the dive, communication suddenly stopped. They tried to contact the Titan again and again, but all they got was silence. The 96 hours of onboard oxygen during the cruise are now cruelly limited. A coalition of international rescue troops moved quickly to deploy. Hampered by the isolated position and difficult circumstances, this occurred 8 hours after the crew above lost communication with the Titan. After losing communication, the Polar Prince had strangely waited almost 8 hours to notify the authorities, costing vital time in the search for survivors. While U.S. and Canadian Navy ships started a frantic sonar search of the dark ocean floor, U.S. and Canadian forces planes started scoring from the air. However, the experimental titanium and carbon fiber submersible's absence of an emergency beacon or retrieval equipment hindered the urgent efforts. Then, by June 20th, worries that the dubious hull integrity had completely failed grew. This was not shocking to some people. When the U.S. Navy used its Fly-Away Deep Ocean Salvage System, or FADOS, it made an even bigger contribution. The submersible FADOS is made to retrieve enormous, heavy objects from extremely deep depths of up to 19,075, which will aid in its location. It's a rapidly deployable modular device that can raise to 60,000 pounds of objects on ships. As previously said, the U.S. Coast Guard was in charge of the search and rescue operation. Thus, the Navy coordinated its efforts with them. It's important to remember that the Navy possesses additional deep-sea resources that would have been useful, such as the remotely operated underwater vehicle known as Curve 21 and the Submarine Rescue Diving Recompression System, or SRDRS. Nonetheless, the Titanic is thought to be buried at a depth of 12,500 feet. It is unlikely that SRDRS could have made it to the Titan Submarine. Instead, Curve 21, which is rated for 20,000 feet, would have helped locate and recover the Titan. As was to be expected, concerns were raised about why Navy resources were not used more quickly following the submersible's disappearance. But we've already covered how the Navy was fairly certain of what had occurred. To confirm the accuracy of their assumptions, they had to carry out due diligence. Still, additional ships and robotic submersibles arrived every day. The ICC floor was being meticulously searched for clues, but the oxygen tanks were running low and the clock was ticking. Eventually, on June 22, a remotely operated vehicle from the offshore vessel Horizon Arctic discovered 1,600 feet away from the Titanic disaster pieces of the shattered front portion of the pressure hull. Formal confirmation was obtained of the disastrous implosion. Regretfully, because of the severe pressure at such a deep depth, all 5 crew members perished. The Titan's wreckage and human remains had been found and brought back to land. The Coast Guard said as the days went by on June 28, the end of the investigation's initial phase, officials responded quickly, saying that additional analysis will be conducted on the debris at a U.S. port. This decision is still pending. It's easy to be in awe of aviation and space travel, because breaking free of gravity and flying through the air look like such a feat. However, we cannot ignore the difficulty of deep-sea exploration, regardless of the lack of due diligence over at OceanGate. However, deep-sea vehicles present a far bigger engineering challenge in many respects. Deep-water exploration is a difficult undertaking with many unaddressed difficulties, as opposed to space travel and aviation, where the environment is largely predictable and under control. The environment in the deep water is extremely hostile and presents many difficulties for both humans and equipment. We've already talked about how unbelievably intense the pressure is down there. There can be pressures up to 100 times higher than at sea level at depths of more than 1,000 meters below the ocean's surface. Most man-made submersibles can be readily crushed by this extreme pressure, so vehicles with pressure hulls strong enough to survive must be designed with extreme care. However, it is important to emphasize once more how much more challenging it is to traverse and effectively communicate any information to your team on the surface when there is a shortage of natural light. The ocean's deepest regions are completely dark, with very little visibility. This means that to avoid obstructions and research the seafloor and wildlife, sonar technology and artificial lights are essential. Furthermore, the temperature of the water can vary greatly based on depth and location, whereas tropical and warm surface waters are possible. Deep sea waters can reach freezing temperatures, which are just above 0 degrees Celsius. Submersibles and their crews need to have extra insulation and heating systems because of this cold climate. Salt water's corrosive qualities can also swiftly deteriorate equipment that is not adequately protected, reducing its useful life. Insufficient insulation and sealing of electrical systems and metal components can result in corrosion and short circuits due to the high salt and conductivity of seawater. But you might be asking if the U.S. Navy is involved in deep-sea exploration as well. Yes, is the response to that query. The Navy has a lengthy history of advancing technologies to reach the ocean's depths and funding deep-sea research. This effort has supported Navy operations and advanced our scientific understanding of the deep-sea environment. The Trieste Bathyscaphe is one noteworthy instance of the Navy's work. An innovative research vessel that dives deep. Trieste descended almost 10,900 meters to the bottom of the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench in 1960, reaching the lowest known region of the world's oceans. For more than half a century, this momentous plunge would be the global record for the deepest submarine voyage. To demonstrate the viability of manned deepwater exploration, the Navy's Bathyscaphe Trieste Corporation collaborated with the French Navy to create the Trieste. Its accomplishments proved that it was possible to transport specially designed vehicles and people to the lowest regions of the ocean. The Navy has led the way in the development of unmanned underwater vehicles, or UVs, for deep-sea research in addition to manned vehicles. Remus 6000 and other advanced UVs are capable of diving more than 6,000 meters below the surface to explore and map the seafloor. These UVs improve our capacity for remote sensing in the most hostile oceanic conditions by being outfitted with sonar cameras and additional sensors. Additionally, the Naval Research Laboratory has created specialized tools and sensors to analyze the ocean environment. Such probes are capable of measuring temperature, salinity, pressure, and other information, even at very deep depths. These technologies were essential to the investigation of the Titan Submersible. Numerous oceanographic sensors and instrumentation found on Navy submarines that dive deep into the ocean have also been used on scientific research ships to provide researchers with fresh information about the deep oceans. As we delve into the depths of the Titan's tragedy, subscribe for more riveting explorations and unravel the mysteries that lie beneath the surface. Don't miss a wave of gripping stories. Subscribe now.